So as I just said, we are going to come up against barriers. I think we should take that on board and accept that we are going to get barriers, because we are going to have resistance, and resistance can be good. It's just the way we deal with it. Coming up on the screen now are 10 common barriers or resistance that we'll come across. The first there is people not having enough understanding. As we talked about in ADCAR, there needs to be the first A was about awareness. In Burt Letwin, they talked about the cause and effect, and sometimes the cause can be that there wasn't enough understanding in the beginning, so people didn't take it. Because in the first 4 steps of Kotter, it talked about building the understanding, the knowledge, making people aware, and the desire. So not enough understanding and not doing the assessment right at the beginning and understanding what we've got coming could be the first barrier. The second there, people not inspired or engaged, is about making sure that people are on board with it. As it says, step 3 there, no engagement or buy-in from the key stakeholders. We'll come back to that in a second. And 4, no employee involvement. All of those fit into the models we've just been talking about. ADCAR had the desire, the knowledge and the ability, and then Kotter, steps 2 to 5, was all about those sort of areas and making sure that people were engaged, that there was a helpful guiding coalition, that people knew about the strategy and that it had been communicated to them. And then we move on to 5 and 6 there. No proper consideration of barriers. Well, hey, we're looking at them now, so we should know about them, and especially if we've done our assessment at the beginning of the change and of the organisation and the people within it, then we should be halfway there, because that was about individual impacts being considered. And then 7, no quick wins or poor communication of those quick wins, celebrating our successes. In Kotter, in step 6, it talks about that. And then in number 8 there, we've got culture bad or not aligned to the vision of the change. Well, if we've done our assessment properly, we'll have looked at the culture and we'll know what sort of resistance we're going to get, and we'll have thought about how it would align to the change. And also in Kotter, it talks about aligning the vision, promoting the vision, and then making sure that it fits in. 9, success is not recognised, communicated or celebrated. Well, we could go back there to the quick wins, but also Kotter in step 7 talks about that and making sure that we build that momentum. And then the last one there, unknown or unrecognised current state, would go back to our assessment again. If we've not done a complete assessment and understand what the current state is before we start, or we haven't recognised things properly because we didn't do it thoroughly enough, then we are almost lining ourselves up for resistance and barriers. And ADCAR talked about awareness, desire and knowledge, and all those fit into that sort of area. So common barriers, we're going to be doing an activity that will take us through looking at some of those and how we can use parts of those techniques to support those processes. So let's pull all this together at the end of this sort of session and we'll just have a recap. So the aim was to know how to manage change within a team. We said by the end of the session you'd be able to describe the positive and negative impacts change can have within a team. You look back to the change curve, you can see areas in there that we talked about, that sort of roller coaster. And then describe the techniques that could be used to support a team through a change. We looked at a list of things we could do, and then we looked at some models, change models that we can use as we go through those, the Kotter's 8 steps, ADCAR, Burt Letwin, and McKinsey's 7 S's. So hopefully we've covered all those areas, and we're going to do a little activity just to reinforce some of those sort of positive and negative impacts with some of the barriers that we could come across. So for this activity, there is a sheet, a Word document as that you can download. Lists a lot of common barriers that you come across. I want you to use some of the things we've gone through and identify some strategies you could use to sort of try and support those or remove those barriers. And where possible, I want you to make reference to theories and models that we've looked at that you think are relevant. So go through the list of the common barriers and identify things you could do based on the theories and models that we've looked at that could counteract those sort of barriers or remove those barriers or that resistance. Get that uploaded and then move on to the next section.